without a shadow of a doubt, my biggest recommendation for people is disconnect your income from your checking account. That will cause you to stop the unconscious spending and convert that to unconscious savings. It's very important that I install or add good habits, and it's not trying to push out the bad. But if I try to do that first, I will not get as good results. Instead, what I want to do is add in the good habit. So the good habit is unconscious saving.
Welcome to Holistic Healing Podcast. I'm your host, Luam, and today I have the lovely Kim Butler. She's a financial strategist, podcaster, and author of Busting the Scarcity Mindset. And I'm really excited to have you on the podcast today. I think money plays a significant role in people's lives, and the way we think about it deeply impacts our overall well being. And I think shifting our mindset around money is an essential part of holistic healing. And I know your perspective will bring so much value to the audience. So, welcome, Kim.
Thank you, Luam. It is a joy to be here again. And holy cow, did you hit that on the head? Money is essential. I love the use of that word. And it affects everything in our lives. And even if we want to pretend that it doesn't matter to us or say that it's not the most important, that's totally fine. But the fact is, money isn't everything, but it affects everything. And so, getting our minds around it, and then also utilizing the amazing capacity that we have today with apps and automation to enable money to really serve us and our purposes as human beings here on this earth. It's so doable. And I'm so excited to be able to share some wisdom with your audience about not only the thinking that must be going on in our minds and our brains, but also the actual application or the implementation of some very specific things that people can do with their money to get automation to benefit them.
Mm. Yeah. And congratulations on your recent book launch.
I just have a paper of it because it is just the Kindle version. So I guess I could show my phone screen right yet. And we actually got approved for an AI Audibles version.
Mm.
So in the book world, Audibles has not allowed AI to come into its space. And I've personally read 9 out of the 10 of my other books, which is a big job, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So this one, Amazon slash Audibles had a opportunity to be in their beta of utilizing an AI voice to read the book. So there is an Audibles version out. It is not my AI voice. That will be version 2. And then we'll have a physical copy of the book available in another month or so.
Awesome. Look forward to reading it. And so, before we dive into strategies for shifting a scarcity mindset, can I want to have a better understanding of what it is to have a scarcity mindset and common signs that can help people identify that within themselves?
Excellent. Well, it's so important to acknowledge that, unfortunately, I still fall into a scarcity mindset literally every day. I mean, I'm a human being, right? I have a
Right.
family, I'm going through life. And so it is something that I have just become more and more and more and more aware of as I've progressed through life. I'm in my late 50s and my children are grown, and I can see where an scarcity mindset pops in very clearly, and have learned what to do about it over time because I've become very clear over time that it does not serve me. So
Mm.
it's everywhere. I mean, our society is steeped in scarcity. And so we've got to be very diligent about identifying it and setting it aside. And more importantly, filling it with the prosperity mindset that we want. So, this is how I like to go about it. It starts the second I wake up. And that means that the very first things that go into my brain are about abundance and prosperity and peace and gratitude. Now, if my brain
Mm.
is not automatically going there because a whole long list of reasons, right?
Right.
Then I turn immediately to reading something positive. So I learn best by reading. Other people might want to watch a video or learn by listening to something, or even just getting out of bed and doing jumping jacks. Like literally any of those things will drive the positivity. But if a scarcity thought comes in, like maybe my body wants to say I'm not feeling well, or maybe I got up late, or maybe I'm scared about something that I've got to work on today, then I want to say thank you for sharing and push that aside and fill my mind with the opposite positive mindset. And the more specific I can make the opposite, the better. So, for an
Mm.
example, let's say I wake up one morning and I'm just not feeling great. Could have been because I what I ate the night before. I can spend some time ruminating on, well, was it this that I ate, or was it that I ate? And now I'm not feeling very good. And oh my gosh, it's going to affect this whole day. I mean, I'm already 2 minutes into the problem and I've got to stop it. I must stop those thoughts. And so I just say, nope, I'm not going to think that way. I'm going to think that food is there to serve me. I don't have to be overly concerned about what I ate or didn't eat or whatever, because we all know we can go down this bunny rabbit trail way deep. And I mean, we want to be wise, and there's some obvious things that are necessary, but nevertheless, I believe that I can't live my life that day if I'm uber focused on what I ate the night before. And then I want to fill my mind with the positive aspects of what's going on that day as it relates to food. Like, I'm so grateful that I can get up and easily drink a glass of clean water, right? Not everybody in the world can.
Mm.
I'm so grateful that I can go downstairs and fill in the blank. Maybe it's I'm going to eat a charcoal pill to try to get rid of whatever's going on, or maybe I'm just going to put more good food in, or maybe I'm going to fast, right? Like, all of these things are things that I can do to control, and it's the specificity that matters. So those three things that I just shared, for example, those are even better than, oh, I'm so grateful for the day. And that's a good thing to get scarcity mindset shifted also. But why, right? Why am I so grateful? What specifically am I grateful about? It's that specificity that gets us even better results, and it just takes practice.
Yeah, that's a good point because morning is a very important time of your day, especially the first 17 seconds. Your brain is in a different state. So, programming it with gratitude, which is a high vibrational state, that's very important. It sets the intention for the rest of the day.
I didn't know the 17 seconds guideline. Tell me where you.
Yeah, I mean, technically, until that's why they say don't pick up your phone because once you pick up your phone, the blue screen kind of gets you out of that, I believe, it's theta wave state that your mind is in. So they're like, don't do anything. Some people say meditate. Some people say, visualize, give gratitude, things like that, programming your mind before it gets out of that state. Because the theta state is like where you get to when you're in deep meditation. And it's a good place to program your unconscious mind.
Love it. That's super good to hear. I knew that, but I didn't know that amazingly short time frame.
Yeah. So I want to talk about limiting beliefs around money because I know that is part of the scarcity mindset. People often have negative um, negative feelings around money. Something like money is the root of all evil, or rich people are selfish, which can create guilt around earning or desiring wealth and making it harder to attract the financial success you want. How can people start to shift those beliefs into better ones?
Excellent question. So it is so important to go back to any statement that we hear. So if you hear the statement, money is the root of all evil, it might behoove you to go look up exactly what that statement comes from. And it's in the Bible. And it says, the love of money is the root of all evil. Now, I frankly believe that we can love money, but what it's implying is when it becomes too much of your love in your life. And
Right.
so it's super important that we get clear on not only the right statement, but then the source of that statement, but then choose for ourselves whether we want to believe in that, right?
Mm.
Just because somebody said something or something is written down, we get the choice of whether we want to believe that or not. So there's that aspect. Additionally, because money does, as we said at the beginning of our time today, impact everything in our lives, I believe that it is important to have a good relationship with money. I don't know that love needs to be the right verb. Nevertheless, if we are in a negative or hate, opposite of love, right,
Mm.
relationship with money, that's not going to serve us either. And so let's let money serve us. Well, how does money serve us? It enables us to trade, right? You and I are trading right now. And thankfully, we're able to do that because of Zoom and because of YouTube and because of the internet. Yet there are a lot of, and so we're basically trading time. But there's a
Mm.
lot of things that we cannot trade without money facilitating that trade. Even, and I live on a farm. I live in a community that, like, I could literally take some eggs and trade them for meat, but most people cannot. And even in our community, we don't do that. Like, it's a pain, right? Like, how many eggs are worth this piece of beef? So we want to have something that facilitates trade, because trade enables us to utilize what I'm going to call our Father, Mother, God's goodness that was given. So some people might
Mm.
like to have a different term. You can use your higher power. You can, there's endless terms that you can use for your maker. However, you want to think about that. You may have atheists that listen to your podcast. That's fine. Just, we all understand that there's another being that operates in our lives. So for me, I'm just going to call it
Mm.
Father, Mother, God, just so we're all clear as we go
Sure.
forward. I don't have to keep re-explaining that. So Father, Mother, God gave me a skill. He gave you a different skill, and he gave somebody else a different skill. And money facilitates the movement of that skill from one person to another, which is very, very important because, as we all remember, in 2020, when our worldwide economy stopped moving, things became very bleak. And we could go back to 2008, 2009. Same thing happened for different reasons. Our worldwide economy, primarily US, but it absolutely had an impact worldwide, stopped moving, and that created a whole bunch of problems. So not only do we want to facilitate moving of money in our worldwide economy, we want to facilitate it in our own economy as well. And the best way to do this is to do what you're good at, the talents that God gave us, and then let other people do what they're good at, and let money facilitate the movement of the goods and services that we need to have our lives be in operation. And you talked earlier about it, a vibration standpoint. When our lives are moving, I mean, just think about it like blood in our bodies, right? When blood in our body is moving, our body is healthy. When our lives are moving, like when we're physically moving, walking and doing those things, our body is healthy. Our money is no different. And I may be talking fairly esoterically right now, theoretical, if you will, but
Yeah.
I know we're going to have some time to get down to, okay, well, how do you do that? This is exactly what you do. And we've got to have the mindset part first, which is why, even though this book that I'm currently promoting in the busting of the scarcity mindset is my 11th book. Maybe it should have been my first book. And that's so cool because we can all, no matter if we have a lot of money moving in our lives or just a little bit of money moving in our lives, we can all shift our mindset. And that is absolutely
Yeah.
where it starts, as I know that you share with your community all the time.
Yeah, because there are times if you don't get your mindset right, there are times where people, I mean, for example, win a lottery and they lose it just as fast because their mindset was not there. And I think that's why it's very important to get that part right before you try to amass wealth or anything else. I want to talk about for people who have low self-esteem or low self-worth around money, whether they feel like they don't deserve it or they're not confident in their saving or investing capabilities, how can they overcome these fears and embrace financial growth?
Well, it's a great question. And if they'll go back to what I was saying about the money being moving and money being something that is so important in our lives all the time and serves us, that will help. And then the other thing that I think helps a lot, I don't think I know because I see it in my own client base, and I help people all over America. I've been working remotely since the internet began. The capability to focus on cash flow as opposed to net worth is a critical distinction. And most financial people focus on net worth. How much is in this account? How much do you have saved for retirement? Things like that. I do not believe, in fact, I know again, because of the extreme number of years that I've served people in America, that that is not where it's at. The focus should be on cash flow. And that is a monthly thing. I mean, you could call it bi-weekly. Basically, it's monthly. Our whole lives operate monthly, right? Money in, money out
Mhm.
every single month, literally for the rest of our lives, whether we're retired or super young. And so, in fact, I even have strategies for 3 year olds. So, um, this space of shifting our thinking, understanding that money is good, that we can use it as a servant, not a master. It doesn't master us, we master it. That starts up here. And then getting very dialed in the cash flow space. I mean, it doesn't matter where people are income wise, cash flow issues don't go away. They just get bigger zeros on them. You
Yeah.
might be earning 10 grand a year, 10 grand a month, 10 grand a day, and cash flow issues
Mm.
do not go away. They just get bigger zeros on them. And so we have some very specific things that we have people do to help them address the issue of self worth, which was your question, so that we can get the cash flow aligned with that worth, and very simple savings structures, saving as a verb, and
Mm.
then very solid and certain saving products, saving as a noun, so that
Mm.
we actually don't have to learn about investments yet. Now, there are people
Mm.
that are ready for that, but until you've got the cash flow game figured out, which for some people can take 30 days, but for some people might take a couple of years, until you've got the cash flow game figured out, you should not be talking about, learning about, or being involved in investments. I mean, you can learn, we can always learn, but you shouldn't be
Mhm.
involved monetarily in investments until you've got the cash flow game figured out. And I mean cash flow from an earning standpoint, like what most people are probably doing today, earning an income, paying their expenses, but then even shifting into cash flow from what's typically called a passive income standpoint or retirement income standpoint. Because same deal, right? If you have to rely on your investments to create your cash flow versus you creating your cash flow, that is a completely different ball game. But I'm going to say the exact same thing. It's not about net worth. And most people associate net worth with self-worth, which is not the right thing to do. And if we'll work on cash flow, we'll feel so much better about ourselves.
Mm. Yeah, I like the emphasis on saving. I think we talked about that in the last episode. And I feel like that will give people confidence in their self-worth if they have savings.
You got it. It does. Plus, savings stored as a noun
Mhm.
provides such peace of mind.
Yeah.
And if we don't have that emergency slash opportunity fund that I'm sure we talked about last time, because I talk about it all the time.
Hmm.
And again, right, it's just zeros. Like if you're earning 10 grand a day, your emergency opportunity fund is absolutely by necessity going to look very different than somebody earning 10 grand a year. Yet it drives peace of mind. And that's so critical for us to be the best that we can be out in our world.
I've heard you discuss the importance of aligning your financial decisions with your personal values. How can individuals ensure their financial choices support their overall life purpose and well-being?
Yeah, excellent question. It starts with identifying your values. And this can be a fairly simple process, or it can be something that you spend quite a bit of time on, self reflection and that kind of thing. So, the easy start is to grab a list of values off the internet. You just look up list of values, you'll get 50 or 100, whittle it down to 5 or 10 as quickly as you can, put it on your mirror, put it in your wallet, put it on your phone, and carry it around. And literally every time you want to spend money, look at it. So, examples, right? I go through my life. I forget if I shared this last time. I realized because somebody pointed out to me at some point early in my maybe early 30s how much money I was spending getting my nails done, NAIL, right?
Yeah,
And no judgment, right? Like some people, that's their thing. Awesome.
yeah.
I realized it wasn't. And not only was it the 3 grand a year at the time, this is in the 1990s, but
Mhm.
it was the opportunity cost of that money for the rest of my life. So I stopped immediately. Um, Today, I realize every now and then that I've gotten into the habit of unconscious spending, right? We all fall
Mhm.
into it. Like, I'll just, oh, a piece of clothing here and a little thing for the house there. And I always am buying health food, sign up for this thing there. And then all of a sudden, holy cow, a week's gone by and I've literally used my credit card 6 or 7 times. I'm in the habit of unconscious spending. And
Mhm.
so it's very important that I install or add good habits. And it's not trying to push out the bad, right? That will happen in
Yeah.
time. But if I try to do that first, I will not get as good results. If instead, what I want to do is add in the good habit. So the good habit is unconscious saving. And if I can put myself into a structure that automatically fulfills this goal of unconscious saving, then I won't spend because the money will not be in my checking account to spend. And I commented about putting on a credit card. Well, I'm one of those people that pay my credit cards off every month. So
Mm.
credit card, checking account, it's kind of all the same thing. That isn't for everybody. So that's important. But again, back to your question, identify values, what's important to you, and then spend your money accordingly. Meaning, every single time you're ready to spend money, you got to look at those values and decide, is that the most important to me right now? And those values are going
Mm.
to change, right? Every 3 or 6 months, you should be looking at those values and potentially reevaluating them. Plus, you go through seasons in life where,
Mm.
when my kids were younger, tons of money got spent and I had completely different values than I do today. So that's important too, to just constantly be, not constantly, but every 3 to 6 months, assuring myself that my values, literally a list of them, are updated and current, and literally making sure that every dollar is in alignment with those values. I'll give you another real quick example.
Mm.
Somebody wants to travel and they keep saying this is so important I travel, like I really want to go to Europe, whatever, fill in the blank. But
Mhm.
they're spending money on clothes, they're spending money at Starbucks, they're spending money on drinks, they're spending money, fill in the blank. No.
Yeah.
If your value is to travel, then everything needs to be focused on that travel. And all those other things need to fall by the wayside. And
Mhm.
this is something that is such a tip. And I've become even more clear since you and I talked last time how valuable this is. And that is naming your accounts. So if
Mm.
you name an account, travel fund, like most banks and online places now, they let you name the account, right? So it's not checking account number 123. It's travel fund, it's coffee experience fund. For some people, that is their value. I've
Yeah,
got a young family friend that just adores coffee experience. That's her date night. So they just switch date night. Instead of Friday night, it's Saturday morning. So she can go do her coffee experience thing. And great, that's the beauty of it. She gets to decide what's important, but name your accounts. It will help you connect the dollars to the value.
I like that idea because I do believe in rewarding yourself. You have to have that little bit there for whatever your non-negotiable is, whether it's travel or nails, both for me, and coffee and all of that, but just having a balance and making sure that you're only setting aside a certain percentage based on what you value.
Yep. And I also encourage people to think about ways to reward themselves that don't cost money.
Mm. Oh, what is the example? Oh, well, yeah, I guess there's a lot of ways.
Time, right?
Yeah,
A walk in the park, a walk in the woods.
yeah,
Uh,
self-care,
exactly. And
workout.
yep,
Yeah,
yep. Relationships, that kind of thing.
yeah. So I know financial planning and money management can get tricky with when you're just one person. But when you add a spouse and kids, a family unit, it can get kind of tricky. What are some key steps for families to align their financial goals so that they have balance?
It is absolutely necessary to do at least a monthly meeting, if not possibly a weekly meeting around money.
Mm.
And so, let's just start with a young couple. Absolutely, especially when you're first getting started. It needs to happen every week because money's being spent every week. But in time, it can switch to monthly once everything kind of gets organized. So, of course, they're going to decide are they going to have their accounts together or not. More importantly, it's to decide on some savings goals together, to be uber honest about where money gets spent. Now, if in time each of you wants to have dollars that are not necessary to identify, let's say, for example, once we got everything organized, each person decided there's $500 a month that I want to spend that I do not want you to even know what I spend it on, nor do I want your comments on it, right? Like that's completely legit.
Yeah.
So, maybe the guy's got, fill in the blank, golf or shoes or whatever his thing is. And the girl's got nails or, hair or whatever her thing is. Great. Then they each, maybe they have separate credit cards or separate accounts or whatever. And it's that, again, name it, right? It's, I used to call things, my Kim money. My Kim is my name. So that worked for me. You should not call your Kim money. So name it and make that happen. But then also have obviously some together goals. So maybe it's saving for a down payment of a house, or maybe there's a house that's already owned. So maybe it's saving to improve the kitchen, or maybe it's that travel fund or whatever. So name that and work on that together. And then the household bills, again, there should be clarity and decision made and specificity around them. So let's say the mortgage is 2 grand and then it takes 2 grand to run the house. Okay, who's going to pay the bills? I mean, it's mostly automated, right? But a human still's got to check it every month. So is that one person's job? Is it both? Doesn't matter. But at that monthly meeting, it should be reported on, right? I mean, anything that we want results on in life, we need some accountability. And
Yeah.
so, just like you talk about having a holistic practitioner or somebody to help you with some specific treatment that you want, your spouse, significant other, can be that accountability buddy for you as it relates to money, as long as there's a healthy relationship within the two and also around the money. And then I want to pause. Have I kind of covered just the couple well enough before I go to the family
Yeah.
with kids?
Yeah.
Okay. As it relates to the kids, I have an entire program called Prosperity Parents. There's a free community, and then there's a $30 a month community if people want to up level their game, which is a great way to invest in yourself, right? Is to pay a little bit to get that accountability.
Mhm.
And we have literal programs. I love this for 3 to 6 year olds, 6 to 9, 9 to 12, 12 to 15, and then 16 to 18, because that those last couple of years are uber critical to make sure that they are financially competent. So there are a variety of things that I can share with you in that space. You tell me if you want me to give
Yeah,
some.
I was gonna ask, like, what kind of creative ways can you teach kids about, you
Mm,
know,
this
financial
is
planning?
Oh gosh, this is some of my most favorite work. So I did this with my own children, and that was the beginning. And again, right around age 3, you can even do this at 2 or 1.
Wow.
Start, yep. Because think about it, that maybe 1.5, that 1.5 year old sitting, we all know this, sitting in the grocery cart in the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
They're already grabbing that stuff and with their eyes desiring things and maybe literally like reaching out to get it, right?
Yeah.
So the way that we set this up inside the Prosperity Parents community, I'll be quick, but this is a thorough program, is we have 3 E's. So the first are expectations. And there are specific things in the community about expectations that are age appropriate. For that, let's just start with 3, because I'll admit 1.5 and 2 is pretty young, but it's doable.
Yeah.
Your 3 year old can do some things. They can wipe the counter, they can empty the dishwasher, they can load the dishwasher, like it's perfect right down there at their height, right?
Yeah.
So have a few things that are expectations. First E. Second E, earnings. And this is what you do with the young children. Of course, there are age appropriate examples for the olders. You have what's called the quarter system or the dime system. It could even be the penny system or the nickel system. It doesn't really matter. But you give them a jar. I encourage just starting with one jar at the beginning, and time will split it up to savings and sharing and all that. But you give them a jar, and every time they do something that you want to reward them for, right? We want to be rewarding good behavior. You put a nickel or a dime or a quarter in the jar. Every time they do something that you essentially want to punish them for, you ask them to go get, let me just keep using a dime out of that jar and give it to you. And you put it in your jar, like make it super physical, right? You can't homework money. You must do it in the physical, real world. And so it's so important. I mean, we know 5 year olds that say, well, you can pay for it with that card. Like you have that card,
Mhm.
their parents' credit card. They don't understand that that's real money. So we need to make it real. So first E, expectation. Second word, earnings. So in the younger ages, maybe you don't expect them to help you make their bed yet, but they do. Okay, make they do the best they can at their age, right?
Yeah.
Great. That's above expectations. So they get a dime for that. And then again, let's say they make a big mess and don't clean it up. Again, clean it up, right? They may do a horrible job, but if they make an attempt at cleaning it up, then that's good. If they don't, they just walk away and leave it and don't tell you about it, then dime comes away. And then the third E, so expectations, earnings, is expenses. And here's where it comes full circle. If they're in that grocery cart and reaching and grabbing or saying, especially at the check line, I want this toy, I want this candy, right? Can we buy it, mom? Can you buy it? Can we have it? This is the greedy gimmies, right? That all kids go through.
Mhm.
Yes, you earned
Yeah.
some money this week. Do you have your money? They probably won't. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, then we can't get it. Now, the
Mhm.
next week, when they bring their money, because they'll remember. So, for little boys, they should have a pocket. They can put their dime in. Little girls, a little coin purse or something or pocket, whatever. It doesn't matter. Oh, you brought your money. Well, then here is something that you could pay for with your money. Your kids need to have expenses as early as you can get it to them. So, one of the most awesome things that they will learn so fast is, first of all, the relativity of what things cost. So, do they want to spend that dime on candy that's going to disappear like that? Or do they want to spend it on a trinket or a toy that they can keep? Right. And, help them,
Mm.
like, go to the aisle, show them this is this much for candy and this is this much for a toy. And then add in birthday presents,
Mm.
because your kids are being invited to birthday parties typically, and they are to bring a present, right? And what do us moms and dads do? We go and buy the present, we wrap the present, we hand it probably to the parent, never even goes through the kids' hands. That's horrible.
Mm.
Have your children have expenses that they are responsible for. And those birthday presents will transform into something amazing when your children purchase it themselves, wrap it themselves, and hand it to their friend when they go to the party.
Mm. Yeah, that's a great idea. I was actually lucky enough to go to a middle school that wanted to teach the kids financial responsibility. So what they did was give us all checkbooks, and we get paid for coming to school. And every month we pay for our desk and different things. So it kind of got you used to, having savings so you can buy certain, get out of uniform day or things like that. So you can facilitate some of that. And I thought that was a really good idea to kind of teach young people. And nowadays they will let you have, like my nieces have, say, a bank account that parents can open and they know how to save and all of that stuff.
Love it. Yep. So, so important. And in time, like I said, keep it as physical as you can. So, bank account, yes, but keep those
Mhm.
jars, clear jars in the vicinity of the family's living. Spend, save, and share are usually the three aspects. But I know families that have added a tax jar, right? Like, kids got to learn about taxes. Added,
Already.
yeah, yeah. Other
Why do
jars,
you feel like having the physical thing is better than, creating an account and having a
both.
card or something?
Yeah, yeah. You should do both without a doubt. But again, you cannot homework money. It's got to be brought into
Mm.
the real world. The learning will happen so much faster. And without a doubt, that may change as we progress and people become even more online and app oriented on their phone, right?
Mhm.
At Inside Prosperity Parents, we still do a refrigerator sheet every week. Like, that's, the PDF that gets printed and put on the fridge and gets written on, because we're all trying to be wise, careful, conscious of our children's screen time, right?
Yes.
So if we can pull something off of this screen and into their real world, they're going to learn it faster. Number one. Number two, the lessons are going to stick longer. And number three, it's a little less screen time.
Mm. Speaking of younger people, reflecting on your financial journey, what advice would you give your younger self about finances or keeping a good mindset around money?
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting. In my prosperity parents work, I have 30 and 40-year-olds that go through the material that is designed for children and
Mm.
say they got so much out of it and they're so thankful. So anybody can go check out the free community, prosperityparents.com. I want to more directly answer your question though, and I need you to restate it. Let me make sure I'm dialing in on it.
Oh, I was saying, reflecting on your financial journey, what advice would you give your younger self about prosperity and having a good mindset around money?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for helping me just really answer that question super
No
specific.
problem.
It's so important. So without a doubt, we must find a way to be grateful for every dollar that's coming through our lives. And I mean literally. So when you earn money and it comes into your paycheck or your account or whatever, be grateful for it. When you pay money, be grateful for it. I spoke earlier about the talents Father, Mother, God gives me versus the talents he gives you. When I'm writing bills, right? The electric company. I mean, this can sound crazy, but I know tons of people do it, and so do you. You've heard,
Yeah.
there's people that are well known in the public sphere that do this. Grateful to the electric company for my warm house or my cool house or whatever time of year it is, right? Grateful for the company that I work for, or the job that I have, or the clients that I serve, or whatever it is. Gratitude, 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 gratitude. It's uber important. And again, the more specific you can make it, the better. And then for those that are ready and have really gone through a lot of mindset work already, which I know a lot of your community has, you can up level that one by thinking about the inspirational or the spiritual aspect of what you're being grateful for. So, like, for example, I can, write a check. I still use that word. I can do my online banking with the electric bill that I've got to pay, and I can be grateful for the obvious heat that I have in my home in the winter. And you can inspirationalize or spiritualize that gratitude and up level it and get even better results by thinking about what that warm home means. It enables me to offer warm space to a friend that needs some extra love. It enables us to convene as a family and be comfortable so that we can interact with each other, because we're not out in the woods trying to chop wood or build a fire or freezing or that kind of thing. I mean, maybe a little of an extreme example, but sometimes the extremeness helps us with this mindset stuff. So be grateful for money coming in your life, be grateful for money going out of your life, and do it again and again and again. I'll give you a specific example. One time when I was feeling just flat out stuck, like my mindset work was not getting me good results. My physical space was frustrating at the time, and there wasn't anything I could do about it. My monetary arrangement was deplorable, and everything was stuck. So this was when the organization kiva.org was fairly new, KIVA. They do micro loans basically to entrepreneurs across the world, where something like $25 or $50 can make a big, 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 big difference in their life. So I got on kiva.org and I donated $25. I didn't even really feel at the time like I had $25, but of course I did. And I truly feel, and I was grateful for the donation and happy to do it. And I picked a specific family that got to buy a pig with it or whatever, I don't remember now what they did. I think it was chickens actually. And I knew that it was doing good work. There's another one, Heifer International, is a favorite of mine. If I'm feeling stuck, I will donate to a specific family that can get good with those small donations and or large donations, whatever, again, it's all zeros, and help free up the movement of not only my mindset, but also some gratitude, because my situation, though stuck for me, was literally thousands of times better than the family that I was donating to in a third world country. And then more importantly, that specific gratitude for the ability to move money, the ability to serve somebody, the ability to be helpful, the good feelings that that gave me, all of that is the way to help as we progress in our lives get good results with money. And the times when I haven't done that, I've just been in a circle of muck and stayed there until I did do that.
Yeah, I like the emphasis on gratitude because I like to think of money essentially as energy and putting yourself in that vibration to receive. Um, and it has to be a constant flow of giving and receiving. You get what you put out essentially. So
Yep, you got it.
good points. Well, it's been a lovely conversation, Kim. Before we close it out, is there any advice or wisdom you'd like to give to the audience?
Yes, yes. So we may have talked about this last time, but it so bears repeating. please, please, please do not deposit your paycheck into your checking account. This is
Mm,
such a critical space. We earn money, we need to spend money, but we must have an intermediary in the middle.
mm,
So if you're the do it yourself kind, all you have to do is go set up a separate account. It can even be at the same bank, and put your paycheck into a separate account, and then have the separate account pay the same checking account you're using now amount of money twice a month if you want to pay your bills. Only that amount. Do not budget, doesn't work. Statistics are all over the place that budgeting doesn't work. But what does work is saving first. And so if you're do it yourself, all you got to do is put your automatic deposit of your paychecks. And I would encourage couples to do this together, but you can have separate accounts, doesn't matter.
mm,
And then move money from that account to your checking account to pay the bills. Same checking account you have right now, same
mm,
life you're living right now. What that's going to do is automatically capture a few things. If you get a little bit of a raise, if you exist in life where there are usually 26 pay periods in a period of time when we only need 24 because of how
mm,
monthly our bills work, then you've got a couple extra payments that are going to go in there and be automatically captured. Many people in the higher income realms are going to get past Social Security contributions at 185, 95,000 these days. I can't remember what the exact number is. And they're going to get past 401k contributions. So that November or October or even September or August timeframe of the year till the end of the year, they're earning extra money because they're not contributing to Social Security and their 401ks and 403bs. And that money is going to get automatically captured. Bonuses, any of that kind of thing, gifts, Christmas money, all of it should go into that separate account. And that'll really drive momentum and savings behavior in a much, 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 much more positive way than trying to save after we've paid our bills, which is what most people do and flat out doesn't work. That's the do it yourself way. If you want help with that, just reach out to me. prosperitythinkers.com is where everything exists. And we have a very specific structure that we set people up with. And it has an app with an account that
mm.
really drives momentum. So I got a question for you. What would you guess is the average percent of income that people on our structure save on a monthly basis? The average percent of income.
I want to say 20%.
If it were 20, we would know that that would be amazing, right?
Mm,
Like the average American saves about 5%.
yeah.
It's 23%.
Wow.
So we have thousands of people on our structure. And I happen to know that Mike Michalowicz, who wrote the book Profit First, is writing a
Mm,
book for personal, Profit First for personal. And he has also thousands upon thousands, because he's way bigger in the world than I am and my community, that are using this same structure and getting amazing results. So that is without a shadow of a doubt my biggest recommendation for people is disconnect your income from your checking account. That will cause you to stop the unconscious spending
mm,
and convert that to unconscious savings. And then if you want to up level that one more step, once you get that cash flow worked out, like we talked about all throughout our conversation today, how important the cash flow is,
mm,
then add in the product of whole life insurance, WHOLE. This is a centuries old financial product, very, very boring, very effective
mm,
in storing people's opportunity funds in a way that will serve them better because it grows without tax and has some other benefits to it. And so that is something that if you're saving 500 a month or so, just kind of a rough rule of thumb, and you've got your emergency fund already funded, whole life insurance should be your next step. And I've even got proof. I have a white paper that I'm happy to send to people. In fact, I think it might be our special opt in for your page. So we've done a
okay.
special invite for your community that is at prosperitythinkers.com/holistic healing. I'm sure you'll have the link in the show notes.
Yep.
And I've got a white paper that talks through the structure that I just referred to and a little bit on how to up level that so you've got an opportunity fund that's going to serve you the rest of your life. And truly, until people get to about 1 million, which is accredited investor status, this is really all they should be focusing on, are some of these very basic, boring things that
Mhm.
will absolutely flat out, positively, literally guaranteed get them results. Now, what in the financial world can have that guaranteed word associated with it? Not much, but this can. And so it's a joy to be able to offer this to people, no matter their age. Got to have a little capability, yet it is assured that they'll get results.
Thank you, Kim. And that saving your paycheck into a savings and going from there is one of my favorite takeaways from the last episode, and is definitely worth repeating. I think it's an amazing tip. Well, thank you, Kim, for being on the podcast. And for the listeners, I will have all the information we talked about in the show notes and links to all her information and the book. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.